Vice President of all the MSAs for organizing this beautiful and amazing event. Just a round of applause for them all. Next, I would like to thank all of the speakers on the panel, and especially my friend Samir for giving me this opportunity. Thank you. And lastly, I would like to thank you all for coming out on a Saturday night and seeking knowledge. Okay, so for those of you who may or may not already know me, my name is Mohammed Ibrahim. I'm a doctor of physical therapy. Please just refer to me as Mohammed. Who here is actually interested in the field of healthcare? Just by a raise of hands. Any field of health. Good. If you're comfortable, just tell me what it is. Do you mind?
PA school.
PA school, beautiful. Anyone else?
PA school.
PA school? Med school?
Med school.
Med school, beautiful. Yes? Med school, beautiful. Nursing? Amazing.
Farm school.
Pharmacy? Pharmacy, good. I hope you benefited from that speech. Yes? Med school as well, beautiful. I was just in the same shoes as the med students. I actually did want to go into med school, and I actually did that. So my journey started in 2015. Why did you do I decided that because there was this one class that I took, and it was kind of like a career class, and it helped me really understand what my passions are, what I'm able to provide to the world, what I love to do, and what I can be paid for. That basically echoes the Japanese concept of ikigai. Has anyone heard of the ikigai? Ikigai. Ikigai. No? Okay. Well, look it up. It really helped me kind of really understand that maybe med school is not for me. And I'm not saying anything. If it's for you, go for it. Please, be ambitious. For me, I was very ambitious and I was going for it, but then I realized that it may have not been the right path. So what I did was I took the ikigai and I started to kind of search for things that would really align well with my personality, with my passions, with my background in sports. And so I started to kind of really just write down a list. I did chiropractic, I did dentistry, I did physical therapy, I did occupational, I did everything that you can think of. And I just went and volunteered. I put myself out there, I extended a hand, I introduced myself, and 50% of the reason why I'm standing here today is because I network with people, and you really don't know who you run into, because it's who you know, not what you know. So essentially what I did was I started volunteering, and once I volunteered at the University of Delaware Star Campus, that's when I really started to really see how physical therapy really works. I always wanted to provide, medical care, but then I started realizing that I can kind of serve my purpose and really enhance people's quality of life in a different aspect. And so when I was at the University of Delaware, I volunteered for several hours in the clinic, and I started seeing how physical therapists can help with patients with neurological deficits, with cardiorespiratory diseases, with athletic, injuries. And so I started to really ask more questions, and I started to really seek more knowledge, and that's when I really started to find a good pathway for me for physical therapy. So I graduated in 2020. I did 3 years at the University of Delaware after transferring because I had to retake my prerequisites. So that was a very hard decision for me because I was going from bio and I had to switch to kinesiology and exercise science. Very hard decision. Alhamdulillah, nonetheless, it worked out. I graduated peak COVID. I applied to physical therapy that year, and alhamdulillah, I didn't get accepted. As a Muslim, everything happens for a reason. And I basically saw that as an opportunity to work on myself more. And I reached out to the interviewers and I asked, what was the reason? What was the reason? Why didn't I get accepted? They essentially said that my GPA wasn't competitive enough. I did have some classes that didn't really work well. And also my GRE was a little bit below average. So I gave it a chin, and I really put my head down and started working. So I worked 3 jobs during that year. I worked as a personal trainer, I worked as a soccer coach, and also I worked as a clerk at a convenience store, and I also while continuing education. So I took classes at a community college just to boost my GPA, and also retake GRE, and I applied that year, and alhamdulillah I got accepted. So I got accepted in 2021 of May, and then I started PT school July 2021. So it was just like right then and there, like you make a decision, you're in, no going back. And that's where I started physical therapy. So it was evident that my mentality going into physical therapy was very strong, and I saw this as, you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just guiding me towards what my purpose is. And so I went in full force, and I said, if this is it, I'm going to go all the way, all or nothing. And then alhamdulillah, I started seeing that, you know, like internal feeling externally. I started to get nominated as a class president for my class. I started to become a part of the board member. I was the vice president of the SBTA, which is also the E-board. I started doing fundraising. I started doing a lot of community service. And so it was really nice to find that validation within you. Like you made the right decision no matter how hard it was. You made the right decision, and this is what you're essentially going with. Again, shout out to the Asian guy. Look it up, trust me. And that's when I had my 3 years of physical therapy. During those 3 years, I also did 3 research projects. One was the isometric mid-thigh-pull as a valid test for the total body strength. What essentially that is pretty much you have a platform, and then you have a chain connected to a bar, and then you're pulling that as hard as you can at the mid-thigh area, okay? And then with every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So we had force plates underneath, and then my job was to collect how much force the patient would be pulling. And then we would go ahead and take that data, and we would correlate that to how much ability they had outside the clinic. So let's say it was like someone in their 6th, 7th, 8th decade of their life. We got to see how much they pulled and how much relative strength they had to doing like a functional movement like sit-to-stand, or something like, you know, lifting groceries and climbing upstairs. So it was a very interesting study. Another study that I did was with one of my mentors now, and professor back then, was injury prevention for high school cross-country athletes. What we did was we did the same method of isometric mid-thigh-pull as a valid test, and then we pretty much had them do another couple tests. So we tested calf strength, left and right, and then we assessed their biomechanics, we assessed how they would run, what's their cadence. We would film them from what we call the sagittal angle and the frontal angle, so 2 or 3 angles. And then we would basically assess all that and see the intensity level of their exercise during that summer and see if where can we tweak some things to hopefully prevent injury during the season. And that was a very fun study. And another third study was that I did with my colleagues was patellofemoral pain as a overuse syndrome. The conclusion of that study was pretty much just finding that hip and knee strength was the best thing to prevent knee overuse, knee pain overuse. So that was my research studies, and then I did a lot of community service. So my school at Rutgers University had a pro bono clinic. A pro bono clinic is basically you're serving the underserved for free. And I looked for something like that because it helped me gain the guidance from my professors and older students while also practicing hands-on. I'm a very hands-on learner, that's why I'm a physical therapist. It really helped me guide me from the get-go, from like just, you know, like you're in the clinic, you're in the clinic, you're finding the people that can't afford healthcare, right? And you're making an impact on them from it. Just by simply educating them, just by simply giving them any kind of words of wisdom. You know, you're practicing your evaluation skills, your examination skills, and so on and so forth. So that was really good. Right, Cindy? Okay. So, and then I graduated in 2024. Once you graduate, you have to take the MPT exam, which is basically the standardized exam. Oh, sorry, I forgot to talk about my clinical proficiency. Real quick. Clinical rotations, Cooper Hospital. That was an acute care hospital. I saw a lot of traumatic ICU and surgical ICU patients. So basically, they were in a coma, and they would come straight from the ER to the floor that I was working at. There's something called the Glasgow Coma Scale, which is basically you assess how comatose the patient is and what you're able to do with them. If they're in complete coma, all you can do really is just kind of like try to wake them up and try to do some simple range of motion. That way they don't gain stiffness in their body. And then you basically assess and try to get the function as much as possible can, because you get people that are coming in from a traumatic brain injury, car accidents, gunshot wounds, some crazy stuff. Some guy fell asleep in a garbage can. And the garbage can truck came and picked it up and dropped it. I'm so sick. This is Camden, New Jersey. And he came in, and I was like, okay, well, let's see what we can do. So that was a very interesting experience, short-lived for sure. And then NovaCare was an outpatient clinic. You just basically saw people post-op. You got to work with them after knee replacements, ankle replacements, shoulder replacements. Trifecta was a sports injury clinic. So I got to work with a lot of rowing athletes. So I got to work with people, soccer athletes, lacrosse athletes, field hockey, you name it. So it was affiliated with rowing. It was really good that I got to see so many conditions such as ACL injuries, which is one of the most common ones, unfortunately. ACL injuries, and concussions, and shoulder displacements, and so on and so forth. And then my last one was a combination of sports and clinical general orthopedics. Okay, so that was me in a nutshell. And then, not to kind of sound too redundant, but you may have already picked up what the journey is like. You have to have a 4-year degree, and you have to do some shadowing, some volunteering hours. You have to really find that PT is the right decision for you, and then you have to have a competitive GPA, and you have to have a good GRE. Any kind of leadership role as well, if it's in your community, in your school, anything to kind of really stand out. And then also, you have to apply. Once you apply, you get the interview, you get the offer letter, and then you get into PT school. Once you're in PT school, you have to maintain a good GPA, you have to pass all your clinical rotations, and then once you pass, you go into the NPTE exam, which is a 5-hour exam for the state boards, and you basically have to get at least 80% to pass, and then once you pass that, congratulations, you're licensed physical therapist. And then from there, you're an entry-level physical therapist. You can actually just stay entry-level if you want, or you can go under two pathways. Clinical residency, such as OCS, SCS, which basically stands for orthopedics, sports, neuro, if you're into neuro, cardio, if you're into cardio. Or you can just do a specialty certification. One of my friends that I graduated with, he's doing a specialty certification in spinal mobility and manipulation, which is similar to the skill set of chiropractors. So you can find PTs in all fields: inpatient settings, acute care, subacute nursing, outpatient settings such as the ones that I named, NovaCare, and sports teams, or you can just open up your own business too. That's how it is. So, since I'm the last speaker, I'll actually leave with a very profound story that impacted me immensely when I was in the same shoes you were in. Thomas Edison. We all know who Thomas Edison is, right?
Yeah.
So Thomas Edison, arguably the genius of his century. He invented the incandescent light bulb, and then he also invented the first motion camera. He narrates this amazing story, and he says that one evening when he was coming home from school as a little child, he was given a note. When he was given that note, he was told not to open that note. He was told to have it closed and have his mother open it for him. She will read it out to him. And after he went home, he gave it to his mother. His mother, Alva Edison, took the note, read the contents, and started weeping, crying. And so Thomas naturally asked, "Mom, why are you crying? What does the note say?" She looks at the note one more time, she reads the content, and then she looks at her son. says son. The note says, your son is a genius. Your son is a genius. Please take him out of the school because it doesn't have the facility, the school doesn't have the facility or the talents to teach a boy with this talent. And so she did that. She took him out, she homeschooled him, and then years passed by and he became the genius of the century. Later, his mom passes away. After her passing, he was rummaging through his family belongings, and he opened up a drawer, and he found that same note. He opened it up, and it read, your son is mentally ill. He has no future here. Please take him out. He's not welcome here. And so when he read that, I'm getting goosebumps. When he read that, he knew exactly what his mother did. She shifted his psychology. She shifted his mental state. She really made a profound impact from a very young age. So it's all in the mental, less in the physical. So, and then when he started to find his, started to collect himself, he actually pulled up his diary, and he started writing his diary. Thomas Alva Edison was a mentally ill child that became the genius of the century due to a heroic mother. And so, with that being said, please be ambitious, aim high, because the lower levels are congested. Thank you so much.